Thank you, Mr. Davis. When he asked me when I wanted, if I wanted to introduce Dr. Dibinga, I was so excited because I'm so fond of this guy. I was like, what am I going to say? And I wanted to say so much, but I don't want to take away any of his airtime because he's such a great speaker and he can tell you a lot more in a lot cooler way than I can. So I'll be brief. Today we have an awesome opportunity to hear from an amazing speaker, singer, and poet, but also a personable and awesome mentor. Please help me welcome Dr. Omekongo Dibinga.
You know, it has been said that we are living in the greatest nation on earth, that we are experiencing an economic prosperity never known to mankind. Most homes have TVs and PCs, and many believe that they will finally get that pot of gold at the end of the American rainbow. But are we really living in the best of times or the worst of times? Because through time it has become quite evident that we have never lived in a paradise of heaven-sent proportions. For if you take portions of everyone's respective lives to form one collective memory, you will soon see that we are all living in an insane world. For what does economic affluence mean to the man who lost his family because he fell in love with Wall Street? What do millions of dollars in reparations mean to that Holocaust survivor who would happily spend her last dime to see her family just one last time? What about that African-American soldier who was slain in World War II at the hands of a Nazi, but whose family will not see his name in any of the history books? And where is heaven for that slave descendant who has yet to see his first dime after 350 years of unpaid labor? I mean, what does the chance at a great education mean, though, to that Latino who voluntarily loses his language, culture, and history in a vain attempt at assimilation? Or that Native American who, in his own nation, is refused his piece of the American pie because he arrived at the table without his reservation? What about that Korean employee working at Mickey D's who can't even be proud of a war her people could have won because she lost her unarmed son at no gun read? And what about brothers given the death penalty after already being sentenced to life in hell as black men in America? I mean, is there really heaven on earth for the immigrant hired help putting in maximum effort for less than minimum wage? Or that college brown brother whose blood was smothered in the case of road rage? How can you sit there happily in peace while little babies are crying and dying trapped in the Middle East meets West? Yes, in a clash of civilizations, while certain developing nations face starvation, children walking around with bloated stomachs and emaciated bodies, while we walk proudly with bloated pockets and emaciated minds, wearing our $200 sweatsuit from a sweatshop run in Thailand by Reebok, too busy watching movies on our laptops that we can't hit a gas pop that killed Amadou, which ironically stopped just before they reached 42, which in the time of Horus or Heru meant divine judgment. You see, it's coming. So can you emerge from your matrix long enough to see that there can be no rich without poor and no peace without war? That there's only a need for Ivy Leagues as long as community colleges strive to be respected by the mainstream? That there can only be developing nations at the bottom as long as rich nations live lavishly at the top? And that there would be no billionaire record executives about negative lyrics in hip-hop? The next time you look into the mirror, stare deep into your eyes and realize that the good life for you is nothing but someone else's hell. So it's really all just a gigantic wishing well. So let all of us who have experienced success bless the world of our knowledge and not live comfortably on the edge of selfishness. For if you spend your entire life devoted to material wealth while drinking and smoking yourself into declining health, if you choose not to take the time to serve those less fortunate than we, then this crazy world will be arriving at your door much faster than you can blink and sooner than you think. Repeat after me. There can only be one me.
There can only be one me.
There was no me before me.
There was no me before me.
There will be no me after me.
There will be no me after me.
And since I'm the only me, that the world will see, I will be the best me that I can be. Good morning, Cromford, and thank you very much for having me back here to spend the second MLK Day with you all for this thing we call a day on, not a day off. Thank you, Mr. Davis, for giving me this opportunity to do this leadership work and some of the workshops that we're going to be doing later. and just most importantly, an opportunity to just hang out with you all, learn from you all, and build with you all, because indeed, you are the future. And I'm very excited to live in the world that you all are creating for generations to come. But I have to say, when I look at what we talked about when I was here last year, and when we come a year later, I've heard about incredible things that you all have done at this school since our last meeting, and I've heard about some things that have yet to happen since our last meeting. You see, whenever we talk about Martin Luther King Day or getting involved in some type of conversations with social justice and building peace, there are many of us who greet days like this with a rolling of the eyes, a little bit annoyed, wishing that they'd be able to stay in and really have that day off, sleep it off, maybe go to the gym, do a little something. And some of us get excited. We get motivated by an opportunity to work on building our community. But I think it's very important that all of us, those of us who are here celebrating the day on, and those of us who wish that it was indeed a day off, I think it's very important for every single one of us to take stock of who we are and what we're doing to really not only build a Pomfret community, but build a stronger community. Because quite honestly, as we approach this inauguration, we know that regardless of your political party, regardless of your affiliation, regardless of your religious beliefs, we live in a society where people have drawn their lines in the sand. And people are deciding that they don't want to cross those lines because we've created this environment where we have something to lose if we show respect towards someone else's opinion, towards someone else's beliefs, which makes absolutely no sense to me. And so as we go forward and as you watch the news, and as maybe you get out there, maybe some of y'all might be attending the inauguration, some of y'all might be attending the events that are taking place afterwards. But everything you watch this week, we're going to see how more and more we're drawing our lines in the sand. We're becoming more divided. We're becoming more hostile. And the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, many of us as adults, we've lost our way. And many of us, this is all we know how to do. All we know how to do is say, this is where I stand, and if you're not with me, you're against me. And so you see, Pomfret, we need you on this day, on this MLK Day, to start to show us the way. Because we've lost our way. And throughout history, you see many anti-war protests. You see protests against sweatshops, and you see protests against very intolerable conditions. It has always been students who have led the way. And so, Pomfret, what I'm asking you to do today is not only lead the way here, but lead us beyond today. Lead us beyond this campus. Lead us outside of here. Because I'm not going to be surprised at some of the violence we might see this weekend or going forward. Just look at what has happened since our election and how hate incidents have been up 900%. On all sides, you've seen people of all different backgrounds being attacked because they're Democrat, Republican, independent, black, white, Muslim, Jewish, whatever it is. We're creating this visceral reaction where we're almost accepting negativity, where we're accepting intolerance, where we're accepting ignorance, when we're making that the norm. But I call on you all, and I ask you all, what are you going to do to help change that? What are you going to do to help make a difference? Every single year, we see this Dr. King speech playing, the I Have a Dream speech, and we watch parts of it, and some of us talk about we want to have this dream, but many of us don't really understand the context of that speech. A lot of people during Dr. King's time, they were jealous of him because of his oratory skills, because of his ability to lead. And so one thing you may not have known is that that speech, it was actually given, it was scheduled to be one of the last speeches of the day. Because some of the people who organized were so jealous of his skills that they didn't want him to be in prime time. So they're like, but if he goes last, and much of the media will be gone, many people won't hear it, and that's exactly what happened. But look at what we celebrate now, decades later. What is the point? I bring that up to say to you that when you decide to speak up, when you decide to take a stand, when you decide to be an upstander, not a bystander, everyone may not gather around you. All the cameras may not be around you. Your whole community, your school community, your neighborhood community, it might not gather around you. But as Dr. King said, the time is always right to do right. So you might be that army of one. You might be that army of 1,000. You might be part of 1,000,000 people, but it doesn't matter. Cameras, no cameras. Crowds, no crowds. When it's time to speak up, you need to be the one to speak up. And so many of us are afraid to do so. We think we might lose a job if we speak our minds. We might not get into that school if we speak our minds. But really, at the end of the day, guys, what are you here for? They say, as Mark Twain said, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you realize why you were born. Have you realized why you were born yet? Have you realized what you were put on this planet to do? What dream you were meant to actualize? All of us were put here for a reason. And you see, the reason I had you do that affirmation is because we can only be ourselves. We literally can't be anyone else because everybody else is taken. Right? I can't be you. You can't be me. So that means that there's something in you that we were supposed to actualize, that we're supposed to bring to life. So let's talk about it, Pomfret. Let's look at it. Let's look at some of the things we talked about last year. I have about 10 pages of things that we wrote last year that we said we love about this school, and some things we said we would like to improve upon. And so let's talk about it. I have a list. Freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Now, of course, the seniors are no longer here, but for some of you all who were freshmen last year, who are sophomores now, I got to call you out. I got to ask you, what have you done to make some of the changes that you talked about? I'm going to talk about 3 of the things that you wrote. I'm going to talk about 3 of the issues that you brought up. Number 1, some of us said that as freshmen, we feel that we are being pushed around, that we're not being respected, that people aren't taking us seriously. Well, here's the question for you. 4 months into this school year, as sophomores now, are you part of that community that is now pushing around freshmen? Or are you part of that community who was saying, when I was a freshman, I didn't appreciate this, so I'm going to make a change? You see, we can talk about changes about war and environments and racism, and we can go into big conversations about large matters affecting our country, but change starts small. Change starts with small actions. So, as sophomores, they say, sophomore comes from the Greek, right? Meaning sometimes wise, sometimes foolish. What type of wisdom are we demonstrating in our sophomore year? Are we really reaching back to make sure that the people who are coming in now as freshmen feel more welcome than we felt? You see, it's one thing. I travel the world, guys. I've been to 23 different countries. I go to places where some people talk about being oppressed, and they become leaders and presidents just so they can impress people, just so they can put people in camps, just so they can commit genocide towards other people. We've seen this happen. Are we living in a revenge-based society? Or are we working to make a better, safe space? Which leads me to point 2, because some of you all who were freshmen last year said, I don't feel like there are enough safe spaces for me to speak. And look, we can talk about, ooh, administration can do this, ooh, teachers can do this, but what are you doing? What are you doing? You see, Dr. King said everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Everybody can do something. And I remember, as Dr. Wayne Dyer said, if you're walking around always trying to find a friend, you'll never find one. But if you walk around trying to be a friend, there are going to be friends en masse. They're going to be everywhere. So if you want to talk about we need safe spaces, don't just talk about it, do it. Create safe spaces. Who's to say as a sophomore you can't be engaged in that? Who's to say as a sophomore you can't be saying to people, oh, we're not moving that way here. We're going to focus more on being respectful here. As Kiyosaki said, if the people lead, the leaders will follow. So if the students lead, the leaders will follow. So what have you done to be able to do that? Another thing that you all said is that you want people to be listening to you more. Now that you're a sophomore, are you listening more? Are you spending more time giving your ears to people? They say that we have 2 ears, 1 mouth. We need to use them in proportion. Are we doing more speaking or more listening? As a professional speaker, we spend all of this time going to do all of these trainings, Toastmasters, all of this, how to become more effective as speakers. But few of us, of all backgrounds, spend time actually learning how to listen. When you can actually repeat what people are saying back to you and interpret that, then you're listening. If you can't do that, what you're doing is really waiting for your turn to speak. And if we want to talk about going forward and building a community, we have to be more active as listeners. And sometimes you just need to just sit down and hear your brother speak. You need to sit down and hear your sister speak. As sophomores, you have the power to do that. Where are my juniors? My juniors who were sophomores last year, one of the things that you talked about is you said, we would love at Pomfrey, we would love in our community to have what we'll call a judgment-free zone. Have you created that? Have you done that? In your daily life, when you're here, are you spending more time being judgmental? Or are you spending more time actually listening to each other? See, this is what we talk about when we say a day on. See, a day on is every day. And you can talk about, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, but if you're really committed, really interested to make that real change, you really have to ask yourself that question. And I'm not going to sit here and have people give me a show of hands and who's done this and who's... The goal of today is not to make some people feel bad, others feel good over the others. The goal is for us as a community to make a real assessment about what we're doing to make this place better. And too many times, we want student government to do it. We want student government to take the lead, to do this, to do that. But no, it has to start with you all. When I was in school, too many people spent their time judging me that I almost got to this point where I wanted to judge others. But at the end of the day, I pitied them because I realized that only people who spend their time judging other people have something wrong going on within themselves. Does that represent you? Does that speak to you? If so, what can we do to make sure that we're becoming more open-minded? Something else that you all said is that we want to have a community where people are really able to forgive, to practice forgiveness. All I'm doing is giving your words back to you. How forgiving are we? This climate in this country has gotten more filled with hate. It's gotten more intense. It's gotten more divisive since I was here a year ago. So that means that there's more intolerance, there's more ignorance, there's more disrespect, which means that now more than ever, we need more forgiveness. We need more people understanding and respecting diverse opinions. We need that more than ever. And if we lost our way as a country once again, as students, we need you to be the people who are able to do that. But can you do that? Can you be committed to doing that? Some of us feel that in forgiving, we actually lose something. But no, in forgiving, you gain the world. Because you can't move forward when you keep hate in your heart, when you hold negativity in your heart, when you hold pain in your heart. When I looked at some of the schedules of the speakers who are here, and we look at families who have experienced the Holocaust, and we look at people who represent Native American culture, and people come from all different walks of society, none of those people who you may work with today, who you may speak with today, who you may have the opportunity to meet today, would be standing here today if they didn't learn at some point to forgive, to let it go. We all heard of Nelson Mandela, right? Yes? Where did Nelson Mandela go after he was released from 27 years of imprisonment in South Africa? He didn't say, oh man, I could really use a burger right now. Fine, they had the McDonald's in South Africa at that time. I could really use a Coke right now. Where did Nelson Mandela go? He went, his first stop, one of his first stops, was to the home of one of his prison guards to let them know that he forgave them. Now, he could have easily been, give me a couple of rocks, a couple of bricks. I'm going at these guys. Revenge, right? But we can't have a revenge mindset if we want to build community. If we want to give forgiving is made up of two words, right? For and give. It means for giving yourself permission to move forward. So are you being forgiven? Are you being mindful of this? It's extremely important. And the last thing you all said, as those of you all who are juniors now, is that we want to treat others better. Have you been doing that in the last year? Have you been calling each other out? I can see the responses on some of your faces. This is, y'all know, all we do is talk about the real. Whenever you see me, it's all about real talk. This isn't a place where we come to pat ourselves on the back. This is a place where we have to get real. So are we really working to treat each other better? And again, as a country, we've gone down in our ability to do so. But as a school, you have the ability to bring it up. You have the ability to bring the temperature higher. You have the ability to practice this thing we call mindfulness and the ability to treat each other right. Which brings me to my juniors who are now seniors. Y'all up in here? One of the things you all said, we need to have more diverse opinions. We need to be more respectful of diverse opinions. I have to ask you, as the leaders of the school, the ones who are almost out the door, have we been able to do that? You see, we're in a society now where it's okay to just shut down people's opinions. To say, well, that's just politically correct, and so I'm not going to deal with that. But we're talking about your Pomfret family here. What have you been doing to welcome more diverse opinions? Have you been taking the effort, maybe in the cafeteria, to go sit with a different group? Someone who doesn't represent what you think the entire time, to maybe get a diverse opinion? Have you been, as a club, have you been as an organization, a student group, have you been spending time going to other groups, listening to other people? As Stephen Covey said, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, are you seeking to understand before you're seeking to be understood? That's the key to welcoming more diverse opinions. Because at the end of the day, so many people may walk through this school and may never speak a word because they don't feel like they're going to be valued, because they don't feel like their opinion is going to be celebrated. So you have to walk out and intentionally do that. And what better way to set that example than to do that as seniors? Why not have that be part of your Pomfret legacy? And out to other parts of the world. We are really going to be more proactive and not reactive as it relates to actually celebrating and believing in diverse opinions. And another thing that you all said is we want to be able to challenge each other's opinions in a safe manner, in a respectful manner. So ask yourself over the past year, how many of you all have just retreated in your opinions because you don't feel like they're going to be welcome? But then at the same time, how many of y'all have actually taken a step to challenge your own views? Particularly in this world of fake news. Particularly in this world where people can just kind of say anything and not be challenged. But you all are taking over for us. You want to take yourself to the next level. You want to build a Pomfret community, a stronger Pomfret community, a global community. You've got to be out there and really put yourself in a situation where you are allowing your positions to be challenged. As you know, I'm a professor. I teach at American University. And I speak to college students across the globe. And everywhere I go, I see consequences of what happens when people don't put themselves in positions where they allow themselves to be challenged. You see, you can't grow if you don't allow yourself to be challenged. Everybody can go and retreat into their own little circles where everybody thinks like them. But one thing I learned is that if everybody agrees with you, then somebody's unnecessary. If everybody in your circle agrees with you, then somebody is unnecessary. So if you're really interested in putting the country and putting the planet before the party, before ideology, then put yourself in the mix where you allow yourself to have people say, oh, I don't agree with you. One of the things we talk about in my class all the time at American is the whole idea, notion of Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. And one of the things that I see in my classrooms when we speak about this is on both sides, I see people who haven't spent significant time getting their opinions challenged. So all they do is they come in with their own facts, and we get into shouting matches is how it starts. But once we really start to listen, once we really start to pay more attention we can get to this thing we call common ground. And then the last thing that you all said is that as juniors, we want to do a better job. These are things that you all said we'll do, of doing a better job of noticing who needs help. Of which one of your students need help. If you all learn anything about me, you know that I do this work all across the globe, and particularly all across the country. And I have yet to be at a school, private, public, college, elementary school, middle school, where there hasn't been at least one student who was ready to check out, may have had suicidal tendencies, or may have tendencies in wanting to do something to other people because they weren't feeling like they were being heard. And that's an extreme example, but even in little ways, as it relates to people needing help in a class, people needing help getting involved in a club, people being more engaged. That's needed here. Who are the people sitting next to you, sitting behind you in your classroom, who might need that help? You see, Pomfret, if we want to take ourselves to a next level, if we really want to talk about taking what MLK stood for to a next level, we have to be more engaged, and we have to be more honest in searching out the people that need help. There are people walking around you. There are people in your classrooms who will never say a word. There are people who are never going to show up to the meetings. Or there are people who are going to show up and never speak. You have to reach out to them, seniors. You have to be the one to show them what it means to speak up, to stand up. And some of them may need your help standing up. But that's what you're here for. And that, of course, freshmen who weren't here with last year, to see the greatness that's on you and to see where some of the challenges are. And what I encourage you to do is to do your best to be a leader, to not be a follower, to see where you can fill in the gaps, to see where you can enhance the great efforts that have already been there. Just because you are a freshman doesn't mean you don't have the ability to speak. Again, when you watch, some of you all watched Selma last night or watched other stories from the past, you always see it was the young people, again, who were at the forefront. So don't come here just because you left 8th grade and you were maybe a leader in your school, and then you come here and shrink. No, we need you to grow. We need you to go forward. We need you to maybe keep the people who are older than you, keep them to task. Hold their feet to the fire as it relates to what it means to be an upstander, not a bystander. I believe that we have the ability to do this. I believe, as Dr. King said, that the time is always right to do right. I believe that at the end of the day, you all can be the people who are going to be the leaders to show us how to get it done, because like I said, so many of us have lost our way. But how do we do this? Well, as some of you all know, I talk about this thing we call grow. This book that I wrote, which is entitled Grow Towards Your Greatness, 10 Steps Towards Living Your Best Life. And it's very simple, an acronym, GROW. And I want you to take this with you in everywhere that you go. Because at the end of the day, life is about growing through experiences, not just going through them. Why spend all of your time being at an institution like this and just go through the motions? No, we can do better. Let's grow as an individual. Let's grow as a community. How do we talk about that? We talk about that G in grow. That stands for give, right? Everybody say give.
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 We talk about this day being a national day of service, right? So think about today. What kind of service can you improve upon? What can you do to give back? Wayne Dyer said, the more you give to your community, the more it's going to give back to you. But the more you take from it, the more it's going to take from you. So let's get out of the selfishness, right? Some of us, we all just came from the holidays, and some of us celebrate Christmas, What I hear about a lot of people when they talk about Christmas, I always hear people talk about what they're getting and not what they're giving. right? We need to have a philosophy where we're thinking about more about what we're giving as opposed to what we're getting. Everybody can talk about what a community's not doing for you, but what are you doing for it? Our outgoing president said that this country is not about a place where you boast about how imperfect our country is. It's about what you do to perfect it. So how are you giving back to your community, to your family, to your school, to your neighborhood? Once you do that, then we find ourselves complaining a little less, because we know that we're part of the solution and not part of the problem. Once we do that, we move to this thing we call release. Everybody say release. Release. Say it like you mean it, release. Release. You need to learn to let it go and let them go. We've already talked about letting it go. When we talk about letting it go, it means that thing about forgiving. Letting go of hurt. Letting go of pain. Letting go of it so that we can move forward. As we say, we have in our cars a larger windshield and a smaller rear view mirror so we can spend more time looking forward and less time looking backwards, using the past as a place of reference, but not a place of residence. That's what we mean when we say let it go. But then you all have to focus on letting them go. What does letting them go mean? Now is a time where we need in this country, if we're really about bringing the country together, if we're really about healing, we need to put ourselves in positions where we have all hands on deck. So you have to learn to let go of people who don't represent what you believe in right now. Because life is about growing through experiences, and we've said this in several instances. If you surround yourself by people who are racist, then that makes you a racist. If you surround yourself by people who are anti-Semites, that makes you anti-Semitic. Homophobes, that makes you a homophobe. The list goes on and on. So now is the time, high school, where you really have to start letting go of people who don't represent what it is that you want to become. And if you are still surrounded by those people, if there's something that just resonates positively when you're surrounded by these people, then now might be that time to check yourself. Give yourself that checkup from the neck up. You see, again, everybody can talk about, oh, this, oh, I don't want to talk about this race stuff. I don't want to talk about social justice. I don't want to do that. But look, guys, at the end of the day, social justice is all about comforting the afflicted and afflicting the comfortable. Maybe you're in a position where you're just a little too comfortable. And you need to use this day, use these workshops to look at how you can do a little more work. How you can be a little more active, a little more present for somebody else. And that leads us to this thing we call overcome. Everybody say overcome. 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 You have to work on overcoming your fears, ladies and gentlemen. The work that Dr. King did, the work that Rosa Parks did, the people who came before them, the people who came after them, the people who marched with them, they were scared at times. They had fear in their heads and in their hearts at times. But at the end of the day, you have to realize, if your dream is big enough, then your fears don't matter. If what you want to accomplish is big enough, if the unity that you want to create is big enough, then your fears don't matter. You see, Ziegler said that fear is just F-E-A-R, and it means false evidence appearing real. It means false evidence appearing real. Many people lost their lives for this day. Many people got up and fought for rights of all different groups, Native American groups, people who come from underserved communities, people who come from communities where they're not doing well financially, for different racial groups, for women, for all different types of groups. Many people fought for days they would never see. But here we are, 2017, benefiting off the fruits of their labor. Being able to sit in a room where, depending on the period of time you went back to, some of us wouldn't be allowed to be in this space. But here we are, because somebody gave their lives, because somebody fought for it. So at what point do you realize that you're sitting in this room representing somebody's dream? That you're representing the destruction of a nightmare for people who didn't have those equal opportunities. And so when are you going to get out of your seat and stop being so comfortable and be fearless in going forward and making change? We need you all to be fearless because too many people are afraid to speak up now. Look what's happening. You all spend more time on social media than many of the adults in the room. Just by speaking up, people are shutting you down, right? People are calling us all types of names. And the bullying that many of us experience nowadays, it happens 24/7. But if the time is always right to do right, then you gotta speak. You have to be fearless. And look, in this work that I do, and some of the people you're gonna meet today are doing, yes, we get death threats. Yes, we get people telling us that they want to take us out. They don't want us to be on this planet. Why? Because they're comfortable in the status quo. But you all gotta be part of that group that's gonna get out there and break that. And that leads us to this thing we call win. Everybody say win. Win. Say it like you mean it, win. Win. We have to believe that we will win if we do not give in. We will win if we do not give in. Too many people want to shut us down because too many people are comfortable. Too many people want to tell you, don't speak up about that issue. Don't address these problems. Don't get out there and try to make that change because they are comfortable. But this is not the day where we want to be comfortable. When I think about Dr. King, and when I think about even what we've learned about him, I think about him lying on that Tennessee balcony with half of his face blown off. And I think about all of the times when he was looking up at that heaven, breathing his last breath. And I find myself wondering if he ever thought about all of the times where he could have just said, I'm good now. He was making good money as a speaker. He was giving all of it to his organization, only keeping a small amount of it for his family. I'm wondering if he ever had the opportunity. I'm okay now. I did my part. It's enough. But this man who didn't make it past the age, who never made it to 40 years old because of his commitment, I wonder if he ever thought about just quitting. But this is a person who literally gave his life for us to have a better day. And one of the things we also don't realize is that we spend a lot of time watching the I Have a Dream speech, which we should every single year, every week. But let's also talk about the fact that Dr. King said that I fear that my American dream is quickly turning into an American nightmare. So when Mr. Davis talks to you about reading Chaos or Community, that's what he's talking about. You see, we have the opportunity to continue into chaos or to move towards community. Where are you going to go? What circle are you going to retreat into? What are you going to do to really build this thing? We live in a society now where we have access to everything. Everything you need is right there in your phone, or you can get it somehow. But check it, we also live in a world where at a split second, entire humanity can be destroyed from this thing we call nuclear proliferation, right? See, at any moment, we can have community or we can have chaos. And with every advancement that we've made more progress in our ability to be destructive and less progress in our ability to be constructive. So what are you going to do walking out of here? Are you going to be more destructive or are you going to be more constructive? Are you going to work to build or are you going to work to destroy? Let me tell y'all something. It's easier to destroy than it is to build. It's easier to shut down than it is to listen. It's easier to push to the side than it is to bring in. It's easy to do that. I heard a rapper once say, forget being positive because negativity spreads faster. You see, and lies spread faster. As they say, a lie can travel around the world while the truth is still tying its shoelaces. This is where we are today. So when you walk out of here and you go to these workshops that you all signed up for, that you want to be engaged in, go in there and look at how you can take something that's going to help you be an upstander, not a bystander. Go in there, that's going to help you put yourself in a position where you can get out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone is your danger zone. I said your comfort zone is your danger zone. We get too comfortable in our particular circumstances, in our particular groups, but if we want to make change, we got to enter that danger zone where we challenge our thoughts, where we challenge our opinions, where we bring people together who represent something we don't represent. And that's how we grow. That's what we talked about when we said give, release, overcome, and win. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a day on, not a day off. This is a day where I want every single one of you all to think about how you can be better leaders, better student leaders, how you can be more engaged. One of the rhymes that I wrote that talks about this thing called student leadership is really a call to action for all of you to get out there and step up to the plate. The chosen few are the few who chose to step up to open doors tightly closed. So you call yourself a leader. But what does that mean? Getting green, turning green, madly running your team, sadly killing the dreams of a hopeful team, madly willing your ideas, not even listening. Does it mean you celebrate on election day? Because you can add your new position to your resume. Can you handle criticism when your peers diss you? Because you don't care about theirs, but only your issue? Pastor Tissue makes me sad how some leaders let power get to their head constituents they forget. You're just a leader in name if you're just searching for fame, for acclaim. It's a shame why some get in the game. Leadership ain't for the lame. Time to rethink your position, understand why you came. You see, a leader is someone who listens first and speaks. Someone focused on being the change we seek. A leader understands they represent all people. Don't do that, your leadership will never have a sequel. Do you seek to understand before being understood? Do you take time to visit other neighborhoods? We need real leaders to step up to the plate, to take a swing at racism, other types of hate, to stomp out bullying, help end genocide. Do your best to help others hold their heads with pride. A leader builds a team, can't do it all by yourself. And a leader remembers to practice good health, because you're no good to others if you're no good to you. So let me ask you again, is leadership in you? It's a very simple question. Is it in you? I believe that every single one of you all have the ability to get out there and lead in your own way. And I repeat, in your own way. Some of us are going to be more vocal. Some of us are going to write rhymes. Some of us are going to write poems. Some of us are going to create software that helps communities engage. Some of us are going to help make websites where people can interact with each other. Some of us are going to write books. Some of us are going to create media pieces. Everybody can do something. And as Dr. King said, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. But really, at the end of the day, you have to choose how you're going to serve your community. And you may not get the accolades. You may not get the acclaim, the fame. But you know that you woke up every single day and you worked to leave your community a better place than you found it. But some people aren't really interested in greatness. Some of us just want success. We want the grades. We want the college of our choice to accept us. We want the multiple thousands of likes on our Facebook page. But guys, we have to move beyond that when we talk about MLK Day. Let's talk about going beyond being successful and talking about how to be great. Let's not forget to be great, all right? So I'm going to share this last poem with you all. And my hope is that as I close with this, you all will leave here and you all will spend this day not focusing not so much on things that have happened in the past, but what you can do as an individual, as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior, as a senior, to make yourself just a little bit better, a little bit stronger, a little bit more powerful, and by default, make your community a little bit stronger, a little bit more powerful. Before I get to that piece, everybody repeat after me just one more time. I know if I believe.
I know if I believe.
Say it like I mean it. I know if I believe.
I know if I believe.
I can and will achieve.
I can and will achieve.
The past is the past.
The past is the past.
I will no longer regret it.
I will no longer regret it.
I will focus on this gift,
I will focus on this gift,
which I call the present.
which I call present.
I will get out of my own way.
I will get out of my own way.
And live my best life starting today.
And live my best life starting today.
If I focus on my dreams.
If I focus on my dreams.
And not my sorrows.
And not my sorrows.
My trials today.
My trials today.
Will be my testimony tomorrow.
Will be my testimony tomorrow.
I will close with this poem. Let's all create new testimonies today. They say that greatness is a choice. But what have you chosen? You've been frozen in time and broken in mind. For too long, the same song playing in your head. Living in breath, but better off dead. But who said that you didn't have the power? Who said this is not your hour? You've been showered with a steady stream of words that kill your dreams. But since you're still breathing, then someone has lied to you. Tried to deny you of your own potential inside you. If you just decide to, let no one deride you. Don't even let them get beside you as you unearth the new you. Stop listening to naysayers and decide to do you. No more pity parties, sob stories, and boo-hoos. If no one told you that you're great, then let me be the first to. If you develop the thirst to drink from Faith Fountain, you'll develop the might to move mountains. You see, we remove tons of dirt to find 1 ounce of gold. So I ask you to remove tons of hurt and just uncover 1 ounce of your soul. You'll set yourself on a true path of excellence, getting out of your passenger seat and driving your own car, reaching for the moon, but maybe only landing among the stars. You see, you have greatness inside you, but you must choose to be great. Blaze a path of excellence, leaving fear in your wake. All you need is already inside you. You just must believe in yourself. You must grow towards your greatness and discover your true wealth. Thank you.